Well, AMD has finally revealed the Zen 4 Ryzen 7000 series CPU, and it's finally happened. AMD has gone nuts, crazy, insane, challenging Intel for the top spot in CPUs. I mean, it's quite literally certifiable. It seems as though AMD is rising up, back on the street. Nobody? No one? AMD is saying their 7950X CPU is going to top the performance of Intel's 12900K in just about everything. In other synthetic benchmarks, the 7950X performed up to 57% better while using less power. Less power means less heat coming from the CPU. As a current user of a 12900K, I can say the heat can get pretty intense. AMD has set out to create a 12900 killer, and according to their presentation, they did just that. Up to 11% faster and 40% more efficient. I just hope I am able to get a hold of a couple of these CPUs to benchmark these results for myself. Some benchmarks presented by AMD is even going as far as to say the entry-level 7600X beats the 12900 in some tests. However, if you look closely at the benchmark results here at the end of this game demo, you'll notice that the GPU for the 7600X isn't telling you what GPU model is being used, so I kind of have to question whether or not this benchmark is realistic or not. However, if these benchmarks end up being true once we get an actual CPU in our hands to test, it'll be pretty impressive that an entry-level processor from AMD is beating Intel's top-of-the-line processor. There will be 4 7000 series CPUs released on September 27th. The entry-level 7600X will have a core speed up to 5.3 GHz across all 6 cores. Looking at the recommended specs from the most recently released Spider-Man Remastered game from Insomniac, the Ryzen 5 and 7 version of the CPUs paired with either a 3070 or a RX 6900 XT would be more than capable of playing the recently released game at almost max settings with ray tracing enabled, pumping out around 60 frames at a resolution of 2K. The Ryzen series maxes out at a Ryzen 9 7950X for $699. The unit will have the same core count as the 12900K. However, unlike the Intel CPU, the AMD will have 2 threads for each core, giving you a total of 32 compared to the 24 currently in the 12900K, and have a max speed of 5.7 GHz. The new 7000 series will require a new motherboard as they have moved to the AM5 platform. What does this mean for you? Well, for starters, it means DDR5 support and PCI Express 5.0. The socket on the motherboard are also going to allow up to 230 watts of power. Now, that is a lot of power, but it gives the new CPU and consumers room to play around. According to AMD, the new platform will allow your older AM4 coolers to work with the new system. The new platform also moves to the new LGA 1718 socket, which means AMD has finally ditched the CPU pin design. This is going to allow the CPU to have more contact points, allowing for all the additional features in the CPU, which increases the bandwidth needed for the DDR5 and PCI Express data channels that will be getting thrown at the CPU. There will be 4 different chipset designs coming out for the AM5. They will first release the 2 X670 series boards in September. The amount of power being provided to these systems from the VRMs will be a factor when choosing between the 4 chipsets. If you are not going to overclock, then the lower B series should be more than adequate for providing you the performance you are looking for. The B series will be released in October and is made more for the entry-level and mid-range systems. The B series will be a good motherboard for those starting out in the PC gaming world. The boards will allow 4K gaming provided you have the appropriate CPU and GPU combo. One nice thing I like about the B series that's coming out in October is they will have a starting price of $125. The last thing I want to mention here is AMD's Expo. Now, I'm not talking about a large technology event that AMD is throwing. AMD Expo is the extended profiles for overclocking. This is AMD's version of Intel's XMP. Here you can see some of the manufacturers that have already prepared for the release in all their RGB glory. What the Expo allows is for consumers to enter the BIOS or Typically, that's where you will find this option. From there, they will select the profile that is displaying. Every once in a while, you might have more than one option. Either way, once you select it and save it, your DDR5 RAM has been overclocked. It's a nice feature that Intel users have been enjoying for years, and it does make overclocking easy. Now, that's not to say that you can't manually overclock the RAM if you are the adventurous type. Well, that will be it for this video. Remember to take all these results with a grain of sand until everyone is able to get a hold of these CPUs and test for themselves. I hope I was able to provide you some insight on the new CPUs. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will try to do a review on these CPUs for you on release if I am able to get a hold of them. Until then, talk to you later.